And we're live. Ohayo gozaimasu, konnichiwa, konbanwa, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Cross Examinations Live. I'm your host, Mike S. Miller, and today we are talking about how Japan needs Jesus. It's so true. Let me go over here. Oh, what? In case you don't spend any time on the platform known as X today, over the weekend, Elon Musk has created this automatic translation feature and set it loose on the world so that so it all these people from Japan have been inundated with American responses and followers because the translation is just like it's perfect. It's not janky like some weird Google Translate thing. It translates into perfectly fluent English, and it's fantastic. My whole X feed is filled with people posting from Japan, and they've been talking about stuff like barbecue, cars, flipping guns, um, just steak, like foods, just all this kind of stuff. And a handful of the guys on there are Christians in Japan lamenting how they're only 1% of the population in Japan, and how hard it is, basically, I guess, to find fellowship and stuff there because of how difficult it is for Christianity to get a foothold in Japan. And I just think that is lamentable, and I'm not sure what the answer is. Most of Japan is Shinto and Buddhist, or Shinto Buddhist. My mom's Nichiren Daishonin Buddhist. I don't know if that's different, but it's called NSA in Japan. And I guess art for. Hey, say hi in the chat if you're here. And it's just weird. Like, my mom has always had a very just negative opinion. First of all, completely ignorant opinion about Christianity, but just a negative, like an innately negative opinion on Christianity. And I guess that's sort of the way I was raised too. Not to have a negative opinion. I mean, my parents literally just never talked about religion. I mean, my mom was a Buddhist, so she would like have us chant with her and stuff like that, but they never really like said anything at all about Christianity. And I just sort of innately, from the media I grew up with, I guess, and maybe education, I don't know, just sort of had this innately negative view of Christianity. It's like you're either in the church where they teach you like what really Christianity is about, or you're in the world, and the world just is, I mean, they're at enmity, right? The world and the church are enemies with each other. Hello, Joe, and hello, Dr. Y. What's up, guys? And so I mean, that's just my experience, and then translating that. Sorry, I don't know why my tongue is so slow today. Ever since the stroke, it's like sometimes I'll get up and when I start trying to talk, my talking muscles aren't working quite as well as they should be. Hey, Tina's here too. Welcome. You're popping in on cross examinations instead of yeah, you're the one on cross examinations. I've been trying to do this more on Mike S. Miller art as well because I'm pushing the whole creative Christian aspect of my channel now. So it's oh, and I did want to get your guys' opinion, but maybe I'll wait until more people show up. How do you tackle that when like 99% of your culture essentially is completely ignorant about Christianity. Right? Hang in there, buddy. I know exactly what you're talking about. After a few of my mini strokes, talking was sometimes difficult and finding words. Yeah. Joe says, for the most part, it's easy to have a negative opinion of Christianity, as it seems a lot of pop culture shows the church is as greedy and deceitful. Yeah. So that is, and then like I was always like, oh my gosh, the Crusades so bad, until I went through a time when I was just listening to this Real Crusades History channel. I listened to so much of this, and he takes original sources, right? Like on the ground reportage from the Muslim side, from the Christian side, the purpose of the Crusades, and all that stuff, and learning about how it's like, look, man, Christianity, the Christian world. I know at the time it was mostly Roman Catholicism and Eastern Orthodox, and so they were kind of hierarchical, structured state religions. I get that, but for hundreds of years, they allowed Islam to just run roughshod over all the Christian lands, and it wasn't until the First Crusade wasn't called until like the Eastern Roman Empire, Constantinople, was being overrun by the Muslim horde, that they like begged Western, they begged Rome for help, and so Pope whatever Pius, I don't know what is, I don't remember which Pope it was, um, like called together all of the princes and kingdoms of Europe and said, "Hey, we got to go help our Christian brothers fight off the Muslim horde." And that was the first crusade. And the first crusade was completely a defensive war. Second crusade was, I think, to take back more Christian lands, and that's what it was. It was like trying to take back Christian lands that had been stolen by the Muslim horde, who came in sword in hand, forced people to. This is about Japan, but my point is, like, I had this totally world-based view of the Crusades, and there were some bad Crusades. I don't want to say there weren't, but that's all the world ever focuses on. Oh, look how bad the Christians were. They did the Crusades. It's like, why did they have to do the Crusades? How about a little rewind the history back a little bit and recognize the need for the Crusades? If it wasn't for the Crusades, we'd all be Muslims today. There would be no America. There would be no Europe. There would just be Islamistan. The entire friggin' world would have not been stopped. Like, just Islam spreading by the sword would have never ended if the Crusades weren't called. Pope Urban II called the First Crusades. All right. How did that relate to? Oh yeah. That's just to say that's like, so in media and in the world, they just portray every evil to the world. To me, growing up, I guess it was like, what is Christianity? Oh, Christianity is the Crusades and the Inquisition. And I'm not going to excuse the Inquisition. I'll excuse most of the Crusades. Not excuse it. I endorse most of the Crusades. I can't really excuse the Inquisition. They did some, but the Inquisition, they make the Inquisition out to be this huge friggin' thing. The Inquisition was just like in Spain. It's called the Spanish Inquisition. And it was because the Muslims had held, this is not an excuse, this is an explanation. It's because the Muslims held Spain for 400 years. When they finally kicked Muslim control out of Spain, they went overboard. And they went super, Spain is first, let's make Spain great again. It's a terrible way to put it since I'm a MAGA guy. But they were like, look, you're either a Catholic or GTFO, right? So they would a lot of Spanish. Well, the Muslims left. They GTFO'd. But there were still Jews in Spain, and so the Jews. It's like they didn't want anybody but Catholics in Spain. So they would what you would have is people called Marrano Jews. I think it's Marrano. And it's a Jew who would pretend to convert to Catholicism just so that they could live in Spain. And they would do the Inquisition did some horrible. It was the Catholic Church. So someone on Twitter was like, one of the Japanese guys, why do people seem to hate the Catholic Church so much? And it's like, because that's what we're taught. Inquisition and the Crusades. That's like all we know about the Christian. Forget all the good even the Catholic Church has done. Look, as an organization, the Catholic Church has done a lot of really good stuff. So, but all the world focuses on, and honestly, a lot of Protestants focus on, is the Crusades, and the Crusades are great, 90% of them, and the Inquisition was a blip in history. Oh yeah, and also the Salem witch trials, right? Salem witch trials. This is this huge thing that everybody focuses on, Salem witch trials. You know how many witches they freaking burned or whatever, or drowned or burned? It was like 13. It's like this is the great atrocity of the Christian world. Like 13 people got wrongly persecuted. Maybe they were rightly persecuted. Who knows? Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. So, anyways, that's what we get as the world. That's what they teach. That's all the stuff they focus on is like the couple of zits on Christianity's history. Well, I know there's worse stuff. I mean, the wars between the Catholics and the Protestants and all that stuff, and the blood on the hands. But look, there's a simple truth about Christianity. It's like Christianity is acting like Christ. Right? If you're not acting like Christ, you're not practicing Christianity. I don't think there's anyone on earth, even the most ardent atheist or Muslim, is going to sit there and say, you should not act like Christ. Right? Christ was a bad guy. No, everyone on earth thinks Christ was a good guy, and that acting like Christ should be a good thing. That's Christianity. Sorry. I know, but somehow or another we're all inculcated with these little zits on the history of Christianity that make it that Christians are the bad guys. And I was having this conversation with a guy I go back and forth with on Instagram all the time in DMs. He's an art collector. He bought some of my stuff 15 years ago at a Comic-Con. And so we've been in touch ever since. But he's a super left-wing guy, and I've been trying to, like, I showed him a graph yesterday of like, or not a graph, but like a meme, and it wasn't yesterday; it was a few days ago. But it was like how many grapes there were in like UK, France, Germany, and Poland 25 years ago, in the year 2000, versus. Actually, the meme was from 2023, so they had lower numbers. But it was like grapes back then. It was like 8,000 in the UK and Wales. Grapes in 2023, 68,000. And then I went and looked up 2026, the year 25 to 26. It's like based on March 25 to March 26. 97,000 grapes in Britain and Wales. And then it was a similar uptick in Germany, similar uptick in France. And then in Poland in 2020, it was like 2,700. 2023, it's 1,300. And it's like, this is not hard math. What happened to those four countries? Britain, Germany, and France imported uncounted millions of Muslims from the Middle East and Africa. What did Poland do? It kicked out all of the Muslims and put a no Muslim policy in. The grapes in the other three countries exploded in the last quarter century. I mean, think about it, from 6,000 to 97,000. And then Poland got cut in half. Poland has had half as many grapes. What's the difference between what's the similarity with the three who exploded and the difference with the one whose grapes got cut in half? Muslim immigration. That's it. He's like, well, maybe it's me too. And I'm like, you recognize it's not just this, right? The only thing you left-wingers complain about is when Jews kill somebody. Jews kill Muslims in Gaza. So you didn't say one thing about the 40,000 protesters murdered next door in Iran. Well, not next door to us, next door to Israel. In Iran, because it was the IRGC doing it. You don't say anything about Boko Haram. You don't say anything about freaking the 50,000 Christians recently murdered in Nigeria. That's been going on for years. You don't say anything about Muslims killing each other. You don't say anything about Muslims doing anything, graping all the people in Europe. You don't say anything. But the Jews respond to the biggest terror attack since 9/11, if that wasn't an inside job. They respond to that in the only logical way they can, because it has to end, right? That is a world catastrophe that all of the people, all of the left-wing dingbats get up and complain about and march about and get violent over. You ignore everything Islam does. You ignore everything. There's some weird love affair between the leftists, Marxists, socialists, communists, and Islam, even though everything they believe in is diametrically opposed except for one thing. There's one thing the Marxists and the Islamists agree on. They hate Christianity. It's the only thing they agree on. Can anyone there say anything else Marxists and Muslims agree on? Muslims will even, I've seen Muslims admit, it's like they are quote unquote ultra conservative, but they vote in Marxists. They vote in left wingers because they know the left wingers will let more Muslims into America and let more Muslims into whatever country they live in. Why? Because it's jihad. They're trying to take over the world. They gave up doing it through this. Well, not all of them gave up. They used to do it through the sword. They got blocked by the sword. So now they do it through immigration. That's because they're leftist communists. They want to destabilize the West because their scholars cite the nuclear family and religion, particularly Christianity. Right. But Muslims are the biggest proponents of the nuclear family, although their nucleus sometimes has up to four electrons. I don't know how to say that. They have the biggest families, right? So it's even in that case, it's just because they hate Christians. I can't think of any other thing they have in common. Course Grinder, you're an atheist. Tell me, please, What the hell do you have in common with Islam that you guys defend it, and you'll never say anything negative about Islam, even though it's responsible for 99% of the conflicts in the world every freaking year, going back probably decades, if not centuries. Tell me what you have in common and why you support Islam. The German National Socialists, who also favored Muslims over Christians and Jews. That's right. There was a Muslim division in the Nazi Party. There was a Muslim Ottoman. Well, actually, it wasn't Ottoman because the Ottomans had been taken out. But what were they? Were they Turkish? I can't recall. But yeah, there was a division of Muslim Nazis. They fought for the Nazis. Oh, weird, huh? All right, let's try to get back to the topic if we can. An enormous amount of our education, even myself as a kid in the 70s, came from TV and movies and become facts. Yeah. Hello, Angela Curry, Dark Admiral, Henry. Let's see. Angela says, one of my dear friends' family were missionaries in Japan in the 80s. The church they were doing a major church upgrade a few years ago. Oh, that's good. Gosh dang it. So yeah, that all stems from this negative view of Christianity. I mean, I remember one time we were at a antique store with my mom in San Francisco, and I just showed her this antique like painting of Jesus or something like that, and she's like, I hate Jesus. And I'm like, where does that even come from? You don't know anything about Jesus. Why is this a Japanese mentality? It's like reflexive. But then I think about even the American mentality based on the media and what our education system shows us about Christianity. Yeah, I can remember it's like when I became a Christian, I was like, I accept the Bible and I accept Jesus and I believe all this stuff. But I didn't want to be called a Christian because I had such a bad taste in my mouth from all the indoctrination growing up as an agnostic. Just, again, my dad never even he didn't talk good or ill about Christianity. He just didn't talk about it, like, at all. So all this indoctrination came from media and school. I wonder what they teach in Japan. Ironically, the first anime I was exposed to was a Christian anime. It's called Super Boke. It was about two children and a toy robot who got transported into different Bible stories. I've heard of that. Jeff says, Spade has given us so many good things. Spanish Inquisition, Spanish flu, Spanish fly. Warlord says, it wasn't just Muslims, IIRC. They were all also purging Protestants and Jews. You're talking about Spain. Yes. Spain was for Catholics. Spain was for Catholics. I more so have an issue with Jesuits than Catholics. I never did any study into that, so you'd have to educate me. As I recall, the biggest opponents to the Salem witch trials were churches. Oh, really? I have not done a study into that. I just know how, when I found out how few people were actually affected by the Salem witch trials, I was like, why is this made into such a big thing in Western education? It's like, oh, Christians. Oh, you mean the Salem witch trials? It's like, it was like 13 people. It was in like literally is in one town called Salem. It's like, I don't know if they were a cult or what. I have no idea. I should do a deep dive into the Salem witch trials and see what that truth is all about, because it's just such a nothing burger. but it is promoted in the secular world as like this huge thing that look how horrible Christians are. They burned people who, let's face it, some of them were probably witches, and then some of them they probably did it because people are greedy pricks. That is what caricature artists do. They focus on your imperfections when they draw pictures of you. Big teeth, large nose, everything you want to ignore, but how everyone else recognizes you. Yeah. I think he just needs to focus on rebuilding the Proto-Finnic Holy Roman Cognate. Was that what it was? I know a little bit about Christianity in Japan. It was becoming somewhat popular until they kicked all the Christians out. In the 16th century, I think, they kicked out all the Christians, and they banned Christianity. As they banned, they became very what's that word? Insular, like no more gaijin. Ooh, out. Loving their enemies? Oh no, not that. They did the opposite. I think you're talking about the Crusades, but loving your enemies, I don't think, should include letting them decimate your population and force you by the sword to accept another religion. Christianity says, with Islam, I don't believe their claim as much as I don't believe Christian claims of a God. No, but it's you recognize this, right? You never see the left wing up in arms about any of the Muslim atrocities committed against Christians, Jews, or even other Muslims. And these atrocities happen all the time. They're going on right now. I bet you right now there are Muslims killing Christians or killing Jews or killing other, all in the name of jihad and Islam, by the way. I bet you there's one happening right now, this moment, like every second. This is probably happening. I mean, you can't get the kind of numbers they're racking up without it being a constant thing. Yes, Muslims have families, but they don't care about destabilizing them because many Islamic countries are outright communist. They're communist. They're theocratic. Is there such a thing as theocratic communism? That's not of communism, atheistic. Look at Palestine. One of the major groups that created it came from the Lebanese Communist Party. Oh, really? I did not know that. Or Egypt. It's been a minute since I looked into it. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. I think Islam, Christianity, Mormons, and other Old Testament-based religions are just nerds fighting over which spin they like the most. Yeah, but Mormons and Christians can fight about it, like literally just on Twitter. Muslims kill the people who don't agree with them. You recognize that, right? And it wasn't just 13 people 200 years ago. It's like they literally are doing it today while we speak. They're out there killing people for not agreeing with them. You do recognize the difference, right, Corpse Grinder? Japan hates Christianity, but they love putting Christian lore and symbology in anime. Yeah, 99% of Japan rejects Christianity. Or how's that to say it? Only 1% of Japan is Christian. I don't know what percent is nominally Christian. One of the Japanese people on Twitter was posting how they only count the Japanese Christians who are like devout and go to church every week. This is like the numbers they give us. Like you go to church every week and you're counted as a Christian in Japan. So it's not like in America where like, yeah, I'm Christian. When was the last time you went to church? Christmas, right? It's not like that. In Japan, you have to go to like church like every week. Apparently, this is what this guy said, or that's what I got from it anyways. And he was complaining because if you go to any Shinto or Buddhist annual festival, it's like the Christians who go to church once a year, right? You're counted as Shinto or Buddhist. So he said there's this weird scale where it's like you have to be very, very, very devout to be counted as a Christian, but you can be completely flippant and be counted as a Shinto or a Buddhist. Interesting. Why are super chats turned off? What channel are you watching on? YouTube Studio. Let me see. Let me see what's going on here. Live. Oh, why is my monetization off? That's weird. All right, does it work now? I must be on the wrong channel. Mr. Miller is not responding to my comments. Yeah, you have to be. I'm not monetized on cross-examination, so you'd have to be on Mike S. Miller Art if you want a super chat. The person with the bad taste in his mouth just needs to do his own research, mainly by reading the Bible. Yeah, that was me, and it I don't know how long it took me to get over it. But yeah, if you've been indoctrinated in your life, just growing up in America, the world teaches you Christianity is bad. My parents didn't. It was the world. So and this is a quote unquote Christian country. So I imagine, I have no facts for this, but I'm just the reaction my mom had to a picture of Jesus, that in Japan it's taken a step further. I like to see that Japan is really interested in American society and history. Yes. I want to freaking fly, go away. I want to find a way to reach Christianity, Japan with Christianity, and maybe, possibly, hopefully, Afar will help do that. Oh, let me show you guys something. I just did this as, I know I said that Afar was supposed to be launching today, but there's some things that need to be, there's some kinks that need to be ironed out. So hold on. This is my, like, at the end of Afar, when everybody gets the entire message of Jesus and who he is, and you recognize who it is and what he's doing, and he's in heaven at this point. I created this invitation page so that the reader, without words, can have an invitation to accept Christ. You won't even know the name of the character. You won't even know the name of Jesus. Because it's intended for everybody on earth. So it's like, you can't really, I wouldn't know how to do that. It's like, how are you gonna, like, how are you gonna do that? It's supposed to be universal, right? So it's like, you can't put it in English. I know there's a couple of English words in the whole thing, but it doesn't. That's because I couldn't come up with any other way. So I don't know. What do you guys? I'd like some opinions on this. I'll just leave it up. It's sensationalized about, like, the OK Corral. The actual event isn't that much, but legend blew it out of proportion. I was making a joke about the Korean hyper war. I don't know what that is. Isolationist. That's the word. Thank you, Dr. Y. With everything in the news from the U.S., they probably think we're all evil. We are all thugs. Oh, by the way, there's a new TG. Not wig. Not every second, but there are anywhere from 3 to 10 attacks per day by Islamists. Yeah, apparently Islam has a lot of a lot doctrinally with communism. Like what? Most of Japanese identify as non-religious Shinto. Yeah. Muslim extremists kill people, just like Christian extremists kill people. The problem is they are true believers. See, this is so disingenuous. And you know it is, dude. You know 99, maybe 98% of the conflicts around the world are because of Muslims trying to force Islam on other people and killing people in the progress. Give me your examples of Christian extremists. Are you gonna? You're probably gonna go back to the Salem witch trials, right? Or you're gonna pick like one guy out of what I think. It's so common in Islam. It is Islam. But you're gonna say like, oh look, no, that one guy 20 years ago he did a thing and he said it was in the name of Christ. And so you're being completely disingenuous about the scale of this sort of thing. Sounds like crossing CNE Catholic. They only make Christmas and Easter masses. It's not just Catholic. There's Protestants do that too. So, YouTube must not like you talking about holy things. Maybe. We'll see the Christian super chat option. Well, it's there now, I think. I don't know. Check it. Tell me. Mike is outdoing Jack T. Chick at his own game with superior artwork. Well, Afar is 180 now with this 181 pages. It is the whole gospel account as far as I could manage things that could be told purely with visual storytelling. So that's me using my time and talent and treasure to create something that will spread the gospel message, hopefully to people around the world who can't read English or can't even read, but they can understand visual storytelling, right? If you go through this panel by panel, you should be able to understand what's happening here, right? Your invitation drawing, very creative, Mike. Thank you. You're going to need an upside down question mark and semicolon to make it universal. Well, do you think an English person would see an upside question mark and say, oh, that's a question mark? Right? So I think most people on the planet comprehend the question mark. Hopefully. If not, they understand the invitation hand. Atheist extremists kill people too. They're called communists, socialists, and fascists. Oh yeah. I mean, look, more pretty sure they're all atheist, communist, trans testicles murdered people in the last year than you could probably put up any Christians murdering people in the last freaking century. I would say that Muslims are more determined because their disbelief will get them unalived. That is true. Also, their belief is that unaliving other people in the name, and getting unalived in the process is their only guaranteed way to paradise. I'd like to see Revelation in this style. Well, let's see how this does. I'm not doing this for money, but if it is profitable and could fund me doing more of these, I would love to do more of the Bible in this style. They are doing what Christians did throughout history, and now you're complaining they are doing it. I think it was wrong when the Christians did it and what they are doing now. It's a battle of gods. Okay, I'm gonna walk you through this again. Jesus Christ is the founder of our religion. To be a Christian is to try to behave like Jesus Christ. You do understand that, right? You can get that through your thick skull. To be a Muslim is to be as much like Muhammad as possible. They call him the perfect man, right? Not Jesus. Muhammad. Muhammad was a warlord. Muhammad told people they could grape their slave female prisoners or their female slaves. Muhammad married and then boinked a 9-year-old girl. Actually married her at 6, boinked her at 9. Muhammad abrogated the entire institution of adoption so that he could steal his adopted son's wife. Muhammad was a freaking creep and a warlord and a bloodthirsty monster. And to be a good Muslim, again, to be a good Christian, you want to be like Jesus. Not even you, corpse grinder, can say that Jesus was a bad guy. Right? And you're going to focus on, oh, I come not to bring peace but a sword. Really? You want to ignore everything else and focus on one verse, because this is about the dividing of people, right? It's like a father is going to turn in their son, a son is going to turn in their father, because that's about faith. It's like all the people who look, when Christianity was illegal, gosh dang, it reminds me of the Gulag Archipelago. How like people were so devoted to the state, they would turn in their own family members to go to Gulag. Well, that's what that was like in the early Christian, in the first 3 centuries, right? People were so dedicated to synagogue or even to or even just hating Christianity that they would turn in their own family members. They would divide father from son and daughter from mother. But you cannot say that Jesus taught people to go out and kill unbelievers. That is what Muhammad taught. See, I don't understand how you're. I'll never understand it. It's because they're both Antichrist. It's because atheists are Antichrist and Mormons are Antichrist. That's what I've concluded. That's the only rational reason why they both align. Islam priorities community, obedience to Allah, and social justice, where Christianity focuses on personal grace, faith, and salvation. Islam prioritizes social justice? Where is that? Corpse is a Muslim with one less God. Yeah. That's a metaphor. Stop lying, Corpse. Probably has no issue with Muhammad raping children. Yeah. I wouldn't. Come on, let's not say that. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, he cannot be my disciple. All right, now do Islam, Corpse. I argue this, but you already know what I'm going to say. This is about comparison. If you compare it to loving God, because obviously you're told to love and respect your parents all throughout Scripture. This is a comparison issue. If you don't love God so much that everything else appears to be hate, right, then you don't love God enough. That's basically saying. It's not saying if your mother and your father don't love me, go and cut their heads off. You know what says that? The Quran. Oh, here, oh Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind this tree. Come and chop off his head. There's so much crap like that in Islam. But you want to take these metaphorical things about how much you should love God and turn it into like, oh, look how violent Christianity is. You know that's not true. The first 3 centuries of Islam versus Christianity contrast each other. That's right. The first 3 centuries of Christianity was completely the church under the persecution of not just the synagogue in the first few decades, but of Rome. It was a death sentence to be a Christian, and it spread anyways. It spread under oppression, repression, the death sentence. I mean, it spread under that. First 3 centuries of Islam, it spread through the sword. Although at the very first, Muhammad did what Muslims do today. They weren't the majority, so they pretended to be very peaceful and nice and kind and sweet. And as soon as they got the majority, they took over through force and then forced their way onto other populations and spread Islam by death, murder, rape, and coercion and all those other things. But oh yeah, they're totally the same, huh, Corpse Grinder? Because Jesus said you got to love God more than you love your parents. He's taking things out of context and being dishonest. Of course he is. The word translated as hate in Hebrew just means to prefer. Oh, I'd have to look at it. Hate his father and mother is poetic language used to emphasize how much more you must love God. That's correct, Bill Hicks. Thank you. Corpse Grinder is a Muslim plant. No, it's literally just because they both hate Christianity. That's why. And no one is giving me any other reason. Not even Corpse Grinder, who is an atheist, can give me any other reason that the atheist Marxist crowd endorses Islam, or at least, I mean, defends Islam as much as they do. Without lies, Islam dies. Fair enough. That makes sense. Mistranslations often cause huge misunderstandings. I'm curious how it is translated into Greek or Slavonic. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Maybe I should look up. Maybe I should look. Dang it. Hold on. I need a new window. Let's check out Blue Letter Bible. Hey. Jesus literally rebuked Peter for trying to defend him. Muhammad applauded a follower for lying to unbelievers. Oh yeah, they teach you taqiyya. They teach you this thing called taqiyya, where you're allowed to lie about Islam in order to forward the progress of Islam. It's 2 people groups believing in a holy book. They both have the same bad evidence to do what they have done and are doing. You're completely ignoring my argument. Corpse Grinder, would the world be just answer this. Would the world be a better or a worse place if everybody acted like Jesus? And likewise, would the world be a better or a worse place if everybody acted like Muhammad? See, he can't even bring himself to be honest about Islam. It's so weird. It's what do you call it? Cognitive dissonance. All right, here it is. Let's go to Luke, and what is the word for hate? Miseo. To detest. Definitions: to detest, especially to persecute, to, by extension, to love less, hateful. by extension to love less. Imperfect future, H1 passive, to be hated, detested. Well, I think hate works. Hate's the right translation. But essentially, yeah, to love less is the overarching message here. It's like you can't love anything as much as you love God. It would be a socialist place if Jesus ruled. You can't just freaking answer the question. You really just can't answer the question. It's all cope to avoid their own simple ways. A socialist place, right? I know. I'm not even going to bother with that argument. Shake your sandals off on this guy, Mike. He's done. Yeah, well, what are you going to do? What was the question? You know what the question was. You know what the question was. I'm not going to pretend. Don't. Dude, you're being so disingenuous today. All in defense of a pedophilic warlord. So funny. It's so funny. Don't you just feel gross defending Muhammad? Does it not? Or are you so spiritually already like grimy that you don't notice how grimy defending that piece of crap is? Kirby, the man from Japan. I'm not defending Muhammad. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Because everything you're doing is trying to excuse Muhammad, but trying to claim Christianity is just as bad, or that Jesus is just as bad. That is a defense of Muhammad. Japan needs its own culture. Britain's old traditions were mostly erased by Christians. It leaves a hole in our soul. Britain's old traditions? You mean like Celtic traditions? What are you talking about? They are Muslims with one less God. Yeah, it's true. It's. I just wish they could do some soul searching and recognize it's like, wow, can I hate Christianity and also just plain hate Islam and hate Islam more because I'm being realistic about what it teaches and what it's done for 1,500 years. Can you? Corpse Grinder? Can you possibly? Did you know, and you probably didn't know this because I didn't know this until I looked it up, in all of the Crusades, you know how many non-Christians the Crusaders killed? About 1 million. How many non-Christians the Muslim world has killed? Hundreds of millions. I've seen it as high as 240 million. Some people contest that number, but I don't hate Islam, Mike, but you hate Christianity. That's the irony. Oh my gosh. Right? It's either you're completely ignorant about Islam, you're completely blind to Islam, or you just hate Christianity so much that you will endorse anything else that it hates Christianity. You're so full of crap. Oh, not Kirby. That's Kirby. This is Big K. I wasn't talking about you. Sorry. Kirby, get your own freaking PFP. I'm sick of this. If I hate them as a group for the actions of a few, I would hate everyone. I just want to point out to everybody else watching, this is typical of the left-wing atheist response of Islam. They will not condemn it. They will not condemn it. They'll condemn Christianity all day long. They won't admit that if the whole world followed Jesus' teachings, the world would be a better place. And they won't admit that if the whole world followed uh, or Muhammad's teachings, this would be a hellhole. This would be the Iran that murders 40,000 protesters in a month, and the leftists don't say anything. They don't say peep. They don't say boo. They say nothing about the wholesale slaughter of protesters in Iran because it's Muslims doing it. I don't know how they can live with themselves, obviously. I mean, honestly. These are the people who just cry up and down about fairness and equality and blah 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 and all this stuff, and then they watch the IRGC wholesale slaughter 40,000 innocent protesters for standing up against their Sharia law enforcing tyranny, their king, their theocratic. The thing they bitch about the most is, oh, you're trying to turn America into a theocracy. Meanwhile, theocracy in Iran murders 40,000 people, and the left wing says nothing. How do you live with yourself? How do you look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm legit. All my opinions are... It's insanity. It is insanity. Honestly, I think it's just antichrist. It's antichrist theology. It's antichrist theology. It's disgusting. I don't think even if I was an agnostic, I mean, God willing, I would like to think even if I was an agnostic, I could not sit there and excuse what just happened the last 2 months. Meanwhile, still bitching about Palestine. It's like, oh, Palestine, look. It's like, okay. If everyone just followed the golden rule, the world, so you can't even say it. You can't even say the words. If everyone lived like Jesus, the world would be a better place. Can you just say it? Can you just say those words? Huh? If everyone followed Jesus' teaching, the world would be a better place. Say it. You know it's true, but you won't say it. You've got to find some other way to say it. Some other... Oh, brother. Not to mention the nurses that were raped because they helped wounded protesters. How did a stream about Japan turn into an atheist Islam bashing stream? Well, it started because I was trying to understand why it's so hard to get a foothold in Japan with Christianity. And then I was going back to my growing up. I grew up in a household where my parents didn't even... I mean, my mom, got us like chanting and stuff, but my dad raised us agnostic, and he never talked about religion. But I was so indoctrinated by my education, my public schooling, and by just media that by the time I was in my 20s, I had a super negative view of Christianity. All I ever thought about Christianity was the Salem witch trials and the Inquisition and the Crusades, so it's like all of this just cultural indoctrination, which I suffered through in a quote unquote Christian country, made me think, how bad is it in Japan, which is very, very specifically not a Christian country because only 1% of the Japanese population is Christian. How bad is their take on history and Christianity that it becomes such a wall to get over for them to open their eyes and their hearts and their minds up to Christ? And then so we were talking about things like the Crusades, and then ended up talking about why the Crusades happened and the Muslims and like 400 years of Muslims killing and raping their way across 3 continents, and then it was ultimately up to the Crusaders to stop that entrenchment or that invasion. So we got on the Crusades, and then I was trying to say, well, what is it that all these leftists who won't say boo about any of the atrocities around the world that Muslims commit every day, but they'll go march in the millions about Palestine, and it's all because of the Jews. That's all anti-Semitism, by the way, just in case you guys haven't figured that out. What happened in the last 2 months? Dude, the Iranian government slaughtered 40,000 protesters. Their theocratic Islamic theocratic dictatorship slaughtered 40,000 protesters who were just trying to protest their government. You know, like how we had that big protest this weekend? Can you imagine if we were actually a theocratic dictatorship, like apparently they think that Trump is? There'd be millions dead today. Millions would be dead today because of how many people protested. But in Iran, 40,000 people get killed over the last 2 months, and it was a very truncated. People are still being killed, but I don't think it would be. Okay, that means you're insane, Corpse Grinder. You're absolutely, your brain doesn't work. Love your neighbor as yourself. You know, the second commandment Jesus taught after loving God. No, the big answer is this one, Mike. It's because Christians send their a-holes to spread the word here instead of their Christians. But there are Christians in Japan. 1% of Japan is Christian. How are they not doing a better job? I mean, they're still Japanese, so they're still I don't know. Maybe that's a cultural thing about the Japanese. Are they so polite they don't want to hurt anybody's feelings by telling them they're going to hell? Adventure says, leftist here. Main issue is Trump ignored precedent in War Powers Act. I hate the regime as much as anyone else. Thank you for saying it. So if Trump does not do this correctly, he will hand over reins to the next. I have that fear as well. I do share that fear that because I know for some whatever reason, they can't say it's about regime change, but the regime is the problem. The Iranian people who are being slaughtered by the regime, they're more afraid of the regime being left in power than they are of the bombs blowing up next door to their house. Literally, I've seen that from Iranians over and over again. It's like, just whatever you do, don't stop until the regime is gone. So if we leave and the regime is in place, although I don't know how that's possible since we wiped out everyone in the regime, and people are coming in to fill that vacuum, but it's not the same people. It's not the same hierarchy. It's other people who are willing to negotiate. Honestly, I just hope and pray for the best. I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but I just hope and pray for the best for the Iranian people so that they can live free and independent lives and not be under the thumb of a theocratic dictatorship. He will cherry pick a verse to make Jesus look bad and ignore Muhammad raping children and unaliving people because he's demonic. Yeah, it's just because he's Antichrist. It is that Antichrist spirit, right? It's like I can't say Jesus was a good guy. You can't. If you can't say Jesus was the good guy, you're I don't know. You're filled with some sort of demonic spirit, honestly. I can't comprehend. It's such an irrational position. You can't claim you're using logic to get to it. So it's got to be some sort of weird spiritual. Or you're just mad for some reason. I don't know. It's weird, dude. Jesus called people a den of vipers. Look how mean he is. Japan should cherish their ancient culture. Christianity would stamp it out like a woke jackboot. I don't know. Christianity was building part of their culture in the 1600s. I mean, a lot of samurai were turning to Christianity because they found the moral code in Christianity very similar to Bushido, I believe that's what I've read. So, I don't know about that, bro. Hypocrisy, fallacy. Sorry, I miss what you're talking about. Shinto has served Japan well. Oh man, if I was in Iran, I would not do a protest until I was out there. Yeah. But that's how brave those protesters are, man. That's freaking nuts and guts. You know the regimes out there mowing people down for speaking up, and you go out there anyways. That's how bad off they had it, and that's how badly they want freedom, that they still went out there to protest. And day after day, they were getting mowed down, and they knew they were getting mowed down. Day after day, they went out there to protest. You think any of these left-wingers here were out there in the streets because they know nothing will happen to them, would be out there if they knew they were going to get mowed down by the Trump administration? That you think those 8 million people would have showed up for No King's Day if they knew that the army was going to just be freaking firing mortar rounds or whatever into the crowd? You think so? Press X to doubt. No freaking chance. But the people in Iran are so desperate for freedom, they were facing and eating those bullets. Oh my gosh. Pray for Iran. Holy cow. To be fair, it was because of how blatant the lies of atheists were that helped bring me back to Christ. Awesome. So see that, Corpse Grinder? All of your lies are helping people come back to Christ. We would lose free will if we acted like Jesus. I love this, though. Plus, isn't it impossible to live like Jesus? The whole reason he had to come down and be sacrificed. Yeah. That wasn't the question. I know the world is not going to start acting like Jesus. The question, the hypothetical is, if everyone acted like Jesus, wouldn't the world be a better place? You know the answer is yes, but you refuse to say it because you have some weird antichrist freaking spiritual demon telling you you can't say those words. It's really sad. These No King protesters will be saying, leave the dictator alone. Oh yeah, I've seen video of people in the No King's protest praising the Ayatollah, waving the IRGC flag. Freaking crazy. He's saying following Jesus' teaching. I thought he was saying being Jesus too at first. You can't be Jesus. The golden rule is the ethical principle of treating others as you would want to be treated yourself, often summarized as Judaism. Yeah, everybody knows that. Japan is pagan. I know. That's what we're trying. That's why it needs Jesus. What Trump's doing in Iran has more to do with China. It's not a coincidence. This happened right after Venezuela, both being some of the largest providers of oil for China. Oh yeah, there are bigger machinations. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the friggin'. I am so look, man. I grew up with a guy who his family had to escape Iran in the 80s because they're Christian, and they just couldn't. That country has been under that theocratic dictatorship. And it's funny they worked with the socialists to get the Shah out of power, and they said they were going to be a democracy, but they created a rule. This is why it's a theocracy. They had a rule of I can't remember what they're called, but they're like religious leaders, and you're allowed to vote on stuff, but this group of religious leaders, the Sharia guys, they had the veto power on anything the people democratically voted on. So if you all voted for like it's legal to wear a bikini to the beach, and the Sharia guys, like 90% of the population said it's okay to wear a bikini to the beach, and the Sharia guys are all like, nope, sorry, we don't care what the majority says. You'll have to be Sharia compliant to pass a law. So it was a theocratic dictatorship with the veneer of democracy. All brought to you by the socialists who helped them get elected. Or not elected, but helped them take power. Did Iran execute the female football team for not singing the national anthem yet? I don't know, but they did execute the male wrestling team, like the 18-year-old wrestling team. It's insane, isn't it? And they just executed, who was it? I think the girl that burned one of the girls that burned the picture of the Ayatollah was smoking it. They just executed her. I think she was 18 as well. 18 or 19. Can you imagine if we did that? Can you imagine if Trump, just imagine, Trump executed Kathy Griffin for the Trump head thing. The left would literally, quite literally, I'm not even being facetious, riot and burn down cities if Trump executed Kathy, what's her face? The RGC is executing young women for burning a picture of the Ayatollah and lighting a cigarette off of it. Not a peep. Corpse grinder, wash it right off your back. Water off a duck's back. Couldn't care less. Couldn't give a damn. But if Trump did it, it would be the end of the world. You guys are such hypocrites. So by saying everyone acted like Jesus, he means everyone is a good Christian. So wouldn't it be better if his God won the battle? See, you just can't say. You can't just answer a question. I'm over time. I should probably know about, but I'm kind of fired up. Shinto has served Japan well. How do you mean? Most people who identify as Shinto don't actually believe in it. Also, crazy high suicide rates. And I mean, even just listening to my mom, she's not going to kill herself, but she's just like, I'm done. She's like, I'm so ready to die. She's like, I just want to start over. They think it's a video game. They think it's Mario Brothers. It's like your character falls off the edge of the map, and you get to just start over again. They believe in reincarnation, and it's like, oh, just let's go on to the next one. It's like, oh man, I lost my job, my life's not going the way I want. Oh, I better just kill myself and start over. It's not a video game, and that's not serving the people well. The idea of rebooting, or not rebooting, but that is not a good or healthy or happy. My cousin Katsuhiro killed himself probably 8-10 years ago. That doesn't leave a good place in the rest of the family's heart. It's even if he thinks he's got to just start over. In Japan, by the way. That's not good. That's not serving humanity or a culture or a people. I don't think any of this is natural. It's all fun. Oh yeah, George Soros. Look, these guys are all useful idiots. If you went to a No Kings rally, you are the useful idiots that Karl Marx and Joseph Stalin talked about. And your all of your events were funded and organized by George Soros's people, but with George Soros's money. Nazi sympathizer George Soros, in case you forgot who he was. What? For a country with so few Christians, Japan has had many Christian prime ministers. Really? Really? Anything else? All right. I don't think so. I didn't get any super chats, so I don't know if that's not working, or I'm not asking for super chats. Someone was asking about it earlier, and I turned on monetization, so I don't know if it actually worked or not.
No, I think you do.
Yeah, I'm done with you for today, Corpse Grinder, because you are completely dishonest, disingenuous in this entire argument. SD0. Wait, what? What? Wait, what? Wait, what? Kathy Griffin is a national church. When is the fire launching? Yeah, there's a few things, kinks got to be ironed out, so should be tomorrow. Camp the respawn point, Mike. That's how Christians can get them. It's not Call of Duty. Yeah, honestly, I'm hoping that Afar can make its way to Japan. Kirby, I don't know if there's a way, because we're going to be able to donate to ministries. And honestly, if there's a Christian ministry in Japan that could accept donations of Afar and use that to try to reach people, just with the simple gospel message, so they can, I don't know. I think it would be effective and inoffensive. Effective and inoffensive. You don't hear left-wing critique of Iran because you are not engaging with it. You focus on some imagined position about their politics. That and the described fallacy makes your analysis flawed. I'm going on what I've seen and the left-wingers that I talk to regularly. And Corpse Grinder is a perfect example of this, bro. He is a perfect example. He will not condemn the IRGC. And every time I ask him to condemn Muhammad, he just turns it back to, well, what about Jesus when he said, I'd come to bring a sword? Totally freaking deflecting any condemnation of Islam or Iran. And that's been my typical experience. Can I say that's the absolutist experience? Obviously not. But that has been my experience. Good habits and beliefs, cerebral life, keto,
Kidding.
Mike, Japan needs a Japanese Christian with charisma. They need a Christian J-pop band. That's what they need. Christian J-pop to get popular. All right, I think everybody actually left. Not that American neoliberal puppet show condemns the regime. Everybody in the actual left, not that American neoliberal puppet show condemns the regime in Iran. I've yet to see it, Joe. Who are these? The only people I see condemning from the left is like Bill Maher. And Bill Maher is straight up out there saying, why aren't people on the left condemning Iran? Because he recognizes it too. Bill Maher's not a left-winger. He's never changed his position on the political scale. It's just the left has gone so far to the left that he's like in the center now. But, bro, I've been watching Bill Maher since Politically Incorrect. That dude is a liberal's liberal, like real liberalism. But the further the left keeps going, like Corpse Grinder here, the more Bill Maher is just, the Overton window has shifted so dramatically in the last 10 years. It's insane. Muhammad is just some guy that had a story. I don't believe his story, and that makes extremists do bad things in the name of God. It's bad. Does that help? No, I want you to say Muhammad was a warlord pedophile who taught people to rape their slave women. I want you to say that. Because those are all facts. And I want you to repeat some facts right now, Corpse Grinder. You don't have a left in the U.S., Mike, just LARPers. I wish that were true. It's a story, Mike. See, he won't say it. He won't say it. He's a Muhammad defender. Oh, he just wrote those silly things. First of all, Muhammad was illiterate. He couldn't write. And the hadiths are stories about Muhammad from the witnesses of what he did and said. So we have all these wonderful hadiths telling us that he was a pedophile and a war freaking monster, and taught his followers that they could rape their female slaves. Come on, man. Do you realize how pathetic you look right now by not being willing to say that? Mind you, Soviets almost put some order in Afghanistan. I mean, before you send money to the ones who become the Taliban. Okay, he married a young girl. I don't agree with that. He married a 6-year-old and raped her at 9. Corpse Grinder. Don't say he married a young girl. Wow. Mike, let Corpse Grinder be. Putting the thumbs on him is not going to change his mind. I just want him to recognize how pathetic it is that he's defending this. Don't forget about the short marriages they can have. Oh, yeah, the temp marriages. Right. So you have to be married, but you can have a temporary marriage. And there he goes, deflecting again. Deflecting again. The Bible said to take virgin girls for yourself. What's the difference? The difference is that if you have a slave who is already married to someone else, you're allowed to rape them. This is Islam, not Christianity. You're allowed to rape them even if they're married. In the Bible, you are never allowed to rape a married girl. You're never allowed to rape anyone. If you do, you're supposed to be executed. If they can't prove you raped them, you have to marry the girl anyways. And that was a different time, but that's it. You deflect everything negative about Islam because you're just anti-Christ. You're exactly what I was talking about. The left and Islam, the only thing you guys share in common is that you're anti-Christ. Ah, it's pathetic. It's so pathetic. All right. Sorry, I've gone overboard this show, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Pray for Japan, pray for Iran, pray for Corpse Grinder because he obviously needs it. He's got to look himself in the mirror and live with that. That's kind of sad. All right, guys, we'll see you later. Thank you for being here. We will launch Afar soon, hopefully tomorrow. And I'll try to do a launch stream or something about it. All right. So, God bless us, everyone. How do I take this off the screen? Hide during comment. God bless and love you all. All right. And somebody drop the Discord link in there for anybody new here who wants to come and chat this up in the Discord. All right. God bless you guys. Peace.